Hey, this is Doug. We're back, and we are going to start into an introduction to coaching diving video series. This is the first of a several part series of videos that we're going to do to bring people into some of the basics of coaching the sport of springboard diving. We're going to cover a lot of ground, and we're going to start right now by talking about the big picture considerations. For a lot of people, you'll end up starting coaching diving by being thrust into a situation where people need a coach and you're their only option. That happens to a lot of people in summer league and high school diving. It is a great service that you offer to help those kids out and offer a program. And part of what this series will help you do is to get your feet on the ground and get started. This series is also designed for people who have experience in coaching and are just looking for some new perspectives or different ways to look at things and try them. So let's cover some big picture items, and then we're going to narrow down and focus in on some of the details as we move along. Right now, what we got to talk about though is roles and responsibilities. If you are a coach and you have been hired or you have volunteered to take over this team, it is now your role and responsibility to do so. Once you've accepted that responsibility, there's a few things that you have to think about and take care of, right? It's a job like any other job. If you want to do a good job at this work, you're going to have to be on time. You're going to have to show up prepared, and you're going to have to bring the appropriate attitude for the work, right? The appropriate attitude for the work, because primarily we're working with younger people, we're working with kids for the most part. You're on stage when you're coaching diving. So that's a great way to think about it. You are on stage. This is not just you hanging out, doing your thing. This is everybody is waiting for you to establish the atmosphere, the attitude, the vibe of the practice. So if you are napping, if you've got your hood pulled down over your head and a coffee in your face and you're just not ready, then you're just not ready. And the divers are going to respond. You're going to lose their attention and their motivation as a result. So we've got to be ready. We've got to be on stage. Being ready means coming in with a plan. You are typically going to be responsible for that plan in its entirety. If you don't know what's happening in practice today, nobody knows what's happening in practice today. My advice to you is don't show up on the first day of practice without a plan. The children will run wild. If you're not prepared, they will recognize it immediately. These kids have had substitute teachers before. They know how this works, and they will take advantage of the situation. So be prepared. You need a plan for the day, you need a plan for the week, and you should have both your week and day plan built in context with what it is you want to accomplish over the season. How many weeks do you have? Where are you trying to be at what point during the season? And what do you need to do to get there? Once you lay out all of those sort of plans very roughly, you get a very good sense of what you need to do and when. Um, One of the things that we find very helpful is to break the week up into different groups to make sure that everybody gets everything done during the week. Um, just some common sense planning ahead will help you to make sure that all of your divers touch all of the dives during their practice in any given week so that nobody gets lost or, oh, I haven't practiced that dive in 3 weeks. A disaster, right? So we're going to plan for the day, we're going to plan for the week, and we're going to plan for the season. When we plan for the day and the week, that's fairly obvious. What are you going to start with? How are you going to finish? What are you going to get done in between? For the season, you really want to look at it in terms of if at all possible, break it up into a preseason, a competitive season, and a championship season, and then off season, which sort of blends with the preseason. Uh, that way you can build activities during each of these stages that's appropriate for each one, right? During the preseason, you're doing lots of jumps and basic work, right? But during the actual competitive season, you're working much more with your list of dives, trying to make sure that any dives that you can improve get addressed during that time. And then in the championship season, what you really are focused on is, can we summon the best dive possible in the right moment, under a little pressure, right? Feeling a little of that sort of thing. So we'll talk in this video series about specific ways that we can address each one of these things. But for right now, again, let's talk about the big picture. One of the other roles that we have as a coach is to coordinate with other stakeholders, right? So when we think of our job as a coach, number one, we're sitting on the side of the pool deck and we're working with the athletes, right? But there's more to it than that. We have probably a team representative, somebody who's hired us, somebody who is overseeing the diving program. That may be a volunteer who assists the coach with organization of the summer season, like some of our summer leagues in the Washington, D.C. area do that. So you may have a dive rep. You may have a pool management group, right, who's running the pool that you're practicing in. You have to coordinate with those people. You have to communicate with them. You don't want to surprise them, and you definitely don't want to be at odds with them. So one of the things that I would suggest, just in the big picture look at things here now, is when you're thinking about those people, just keep them informed, especially when you have ideas about new things you want to do. When you're going to try something different, when there's a drill that you saw somebody else do that you want to use and it hasn't been seen in your pool. Sometimes those things give lifeguards and pool managers a little bit of anxiety, right? They haven't seen it before. What the heck is that? Is somebody going to get hurt? So it's really, really helpful to communicate early, communicate often, communicate in advance about what your plans are so that your pool management, your team rep are all on the same page with you. Those little moments of thinking ahead and talking about what might happen down the road and getting a plan together, that is the stuff that makes your season work well. When you start to foresee problems and start to address them in advance, you're really working on another level, and it just really smooths the season out, right? So we're coordinating with these stakeholders, team rep, pool management. We also have the leagues that we're associated with, right? So in the Washington, D.C. area, we're associated with the NVSL, the Northern Virginia Swim League's diving component. And their primary mission is all about sportsmanship and development of proper diving skills. So that's when we work in that venue, that's what we do. We address sportsmanship as a primary goal of our program because that's what our league wants from us. So we're going to work with our stakeholders in their vision and the values that they are trying to share across all of the participants, right? And then finally, we really have to keep an eye on one other key stakeholder, and that's the parents, right? Parents have important roles to play. They also have a need to have their roles defined well for them, or they can cause trouble unintentionally, almost always, right? There's good intentions everywhere, but because they're parents are typically very concerned about their own children and what's best for them, and coaches are concerned about what's best for the entire program. So there can be some conflict there, and that has to be walked through, right? So anticipate that there's going to be some challenges like that, where it's like, well, my child needs this dive and they need to get as many dives as possible done. Can they just cut in front of everyone else today? It's like, no. That doesn't work for us, right? This is a team. We are not all about just Sally succeeding. So anticipating trouble with parents is really probably wisdom. They can be challenging. They can sometimes be upset and not understand what's going on. Sometimes you just make a mistake and they're understandably upset. You get the dive wrong or whatever. My advice to you is don't ever let them cause you to lose your temper. If at all possible. Lord knows I have to take that advice myself. It can be challenging. It can be challenging, and we get caught up in the kids and how important it is to them, and we want them to have a great experience. And sometimes that takes our eye off of just being kind to other people. So it's good to keep those things in mind and to rehearse what you're going to do in a challenging situation so that you're prepared. This is especially true as a younger coach. You don't have a lot of experience in these challenging conflicts between adults and yourself. It may feel really awkward because you've known this parent for a long time, and now you're supposed to have this one-on-one uncomfortable conversation. This is what team reps are for. They're very helpful in coming in and helping you out. And you can just say, hey, I think we should have a meeting with the team rep tomorrow. Let's just put this off and talk about it later. Don't get into those conflicts on the pool deck. It just doesn't work. Always push it to a coffee, push it to a meeting afterward. Don't do that stuff in front of the kids. It's no good for anybody. Another one of the really important roles that you have as the coach of your diving team is that you have the vision of what this whole operation is going to be like. Is it going to be fun? Is it going to be super disciplined? Is it going to be really organized? Is it going to be small and super relaxed? That's up to you and your stakeholders, the parents, the team rep, etc., whoever is involved with that sort of decision making, and then you walk that out. The atmosphere at your practice is yours. It belongs to you as the coach. If you come in a lousy mood and you're grumpy and you're sad, that's how your practice is going to go. Please don't be surprised when things don't go great if you bring that kind of energy. You are on stage. You're being paid for this job, and you need to bring the energy. That is your task. To me, the atmosphere for a developmental kids program, everybody's treated equally. Everybody deserves instruction. Nobody is more valuable to the team than anyone else. When we start from that sort of equitable starting point, it clarifies a lot of things, right? Am I going to coach extra hard because a kid is really talented and they might score points for me at the championship meet? Well, I hope not. I hope that what I'll do is I'll treat every one of the divers that I encounter with the same level of respect, because they all want the same thing, instruction. They want to get, hopefully, they all want to get better. And we want to give every one of them an equal opportunity. So if everybody on the team is really equal, there's no cutting in line. There's no getting in front of anybody. There's none of that stuff. So we just eliminate all of that stuff, rule it out from the beginning. Everybody is on the same page. What you realize as you start to think through those things is that your program can have its own values. It can have its own key denominators, right? Which is for our team, it's respect, it's cooperation, right? It's equal opportunity to get better, and it's honest effort. If you're not really going to try, then you're not really going to improve. And that's a direct relationship that you probably should learn about now, because it's going to hang with you for the rest of your life, right? Put the effort in and you'll get results out. So look at what the values are that you want to push forward. to this group of kids, right? And hopefully they'll take it forward and they may pass that on to somebody else, right? So you may be doing some real work here. Let's think about what those values are, what you're trying to represent, and what it is you're trying to pass on. And if your league is trying to pass on sportsmanship and developmental skill processes, then that's part of what you do, right? We can set some goals, right? Like we can set some simple goals. In the hiking world, they talk about leave no trace, leave only footprints, take only pictures. If you're a doctor, it's do no harm, right? The Hippocratic Oath. In diving, hopefully we can do a little better than that. Hopefully we can do a little better than not doing any damage, which is certainly valid. We don't want to yell at kids. We don't want to damage their self-esteem. We don't want to berate anybody for things that they can't change, their body type, that sort of thing. But we want to make sure that we are leaving the kids that we work with in a little bit better shape than we found them. That's a pretty low bar, right? We're trying not to leave anybody shattered. If you tell kids that they're never going to get it, that they're never going to be, that they can't, that they won't, that they aren't, all of those things are personal. And many children will absorb that criticism on a deep level, right? So you have to think about what you're going to correct and make sure that it's something that they can correct in the next 5 minutes, right? Your body weight, your body shape, your overall level of athleticism are not things that are instantly changeable. So you need to coach those things appropriately so that you don't actually do damage to human beings as you work with them. Really simple objective for everybody in your program could just be, hey, we're all just trying to get a little bit better every day. That's super easy, right? It's not easy to do every day, but it's a simple way to look at how we're approaching our practice and what our objectives are. Let's get a little better today, right? We're building a lot of things though. If we're doing this well, we're building self-esteem in those kids. We're building focus and confidence. We're building problem-solving skills, and honestly, we're building community in our neighborhoods. So it's hard to ignore the benefits when we do these things really well. And I would challenge all of you to set your standards higher than just teaching diving, because this is such a wonderful opportunity to build self-confidence, to build self-reliance, to build problem-solving, confidence, and focus in kids. So I encourage you to get out there and use your opportunity wisely. This is just the beginning of our discussions. I hope you'll come back next time where we'll talk a little bit more about the operations of a diving program and how we can make things work exceptionally well for you, for your team, and your competitive season. See you next time.